Hi there, Om Shanti and welcome to Spirit of Change. My name is Shalini and we have on the sets with us today Sister Shireen, who's from Tampa, US. And she has been a meditation instructor. She has been practicing Rajyoga Meditation herself, has written a couple of books as well. And we are really privileged that she's here with us today. And she'll be telling us about the Spirit of Change. Om Shanti. Sister.
Om Shanti, Shalini. It's lovely to be here with you.
Thank you. And I understand that we'll be talking about, stress and breakup.
Right.
And the stress that comes
from breakup.
From breakup. And, I was just thinking that when there are two people involved in a relationship, it's about two parties. And, one might want to move on and the other might want to try harder. So, that definitely creates a lot of stress.
Right, it does.
And you don't know which story is right and which story is wrong. But what is the quality or the virtue that you need to actually deal with a breakup?
Before I talk about equality, I want to talk about what you're saying about you don't know which story is right. So recently in the US, I was watching this documentary, and the many divorced couples, and each couple was asked to share their story about their marriage and their breakup. And you couldn't tell that they were talking about the same
same person,
same situation, the same people. I'm like, are you talking about the same situation and the same people? It was so totally different from each other, right?
Which means that our perspectives can be so different.
Perspectives are so very different. But the one quality I would say that we need is adaptability. That even in buildings, before I started doing this meditation, I was a civil engineer. And in civil engineering, when we build a building or we'll build a bridge, we always give some kind of leeway where the building can bend, especially tall buildings, that they can move around. Right, even the bridge, that there's a flexibility. Because if it's too rigid, it breaks.
Right.
And so even in the way we deal with a breakup, if we are too rigid, if we don't accept adaptability, then we tend to break. It's you either bend or break. There is no in between.
No in between. But sister, I was just thinking that, thinking of adaptability, do you think we become less flexible because, we are so dependent on the other person?
I feel adaptability doesn't happen because of our own negative thinking. When we have mistrust, when we have jealousy, when we have just outright complaining, criticizing of a situation or a person, these kind of negative feelings, this kind of negative thinking prevents us from being adaptable.
Right.
So if you really want to be adaptable, you have to be open. You have to be open to adventure. You have to be open to newness. You have to be easy. You have to be light. And these negative feelings, this negative thought processes prevent us from being adaptable.
And also talking about perception, sister, I was just thinking that, like you said, that two people were talking about the same person, but it didn't seem like they were talking
about the same marriage.
The same marriage or the same situation.
Right.
So I think also because we just can't see the situation the way the other person sees it. So how do you deal with that? How do you actually, how can you make yourself adaptable or, understand where the other person is coming from? Because at times it can be very challenging.
What happens in a breakup, mostly, is you are preserving yourself. You're hurt. You're very hurt. And you don't want to see the situation from the other person's perspective because you'll be even more hurt.
Yeah, I'm too busy nursing my own wounds.
Yes. So let's say if I think, she's right or he's right, then I'm going to be even more hurt.
Right.
And so it's kind of self-preservation that you start thinking negative about that person. Because all of a sudden, especially if you're the person who didn't initiate the breakup, all of a sudden you have to fall out of love with this person.
Yes.
Maybe you built all your dreams, you built all your, made future plans in your head, and you thought, oh, I'm going to spend the rest of my life or the rest of the next 4 months or the next 6 years or whatever with this person, and all of a sudden you have to cut that short.
True. And so thinking a lot of times, it's also feeling of being rejected, because you just said that, what if I didn't initiate the breakup and the other person is? So it can just mean that, oh, I'm being rejected. So that can be like a very low feeling.
Right. And especially what happens in rejection is there's a lack of self-respect, a self-esteem.
Yes.
And rejection is hard. Any level of rejection is very hard because it goes to the core, saying that you're not valued, you're not worthy. And that's a really hard thing to handle. And so at the core, at the root of a breakup is if you nurse that part of yourself, if you nurse the part of yourself where you really talk to yourself and you know your own value, you know your own worth, and then breakup becomes easier.
Yes. So talking about self-value and self-worth, are we talking about really knowing who I am?
Yes. Okay. And in Rajyoga Meditation, pretty much that's what we do, is we really get to know the true self. Not the self that is this, the facade, like the white sari, or I'm Indian, I'm female. All of that really is a facade.
Yes.
Beyond all of that, behind this facade, there's the real me, the soul.
Yes.
And to really get to know the real me, the true me, the real self, that is what helps.
Right.
Build a healthy self-respect, a healthy self-esteem without it becoming too arrogant.
Yeah.
And then you can start dealing with it.
Right. The first relationship that I really need it to be right is the one with me first. Right. Rather than it being with somebody else and what he thinks about me, or what is my value in a relationship.
It can't be based on, what I've noticed is, it can't be based on a human being.
Yeah.
Because do you know a human being who's always constant? Always.
No.
They're always up and down,
yes.
Right? They're having their own bad days, they're having their own good days.
In fact, even more now
yes.
than before.
Right. And so we have to be really careful that we don't base our value on someone else's mood.
Right.
Because that's pretty much what it amounts to. Is my value is based on your mood.
Right.
I remember way back when someone was talking to me. Now, this was many years ago in Tampa, and someone was talking to me and says, my husband is breaking up with me, and so I have to go look for an apartment. And I said, okay, great, go look for an apartment, and I'm sure everything will be okay. And she said, no, I don't want to start yet looking for an apartment because my husband is going through therapy. And based on what his therapist tells him, he's going to decide whether he's going to stay in the marriage with me or not. I was like, are you for real? This is not even your husband. His therapist has to tell your husband what has to happen, and then he'll stay in the marriage. So, and you really want a marriage like this?
Yeah, that's actually quite confusing, because I think it all comes back to the same thing, me not knowing who I am actually. Right. And that's why your decisions are also sometimes very vague, and you don't know what to decide. And
right.
And a lot of times there are a lot of people who stick on in a relationship because of dependency,
because of lack of self-respect. The bottom line is lack of self-respect. And self-respect, there is no shortcut. The only way to self-respect is to know thyself.
Yes.
Is self-awareness. Not self-awareness, oh, I'm female, I like pizza and I don't like, this is my profession. Not that kind of self-awareness. Self-awareness of being a soul, being a child of God, being a pure soul, a peaceful soul. Those are our original qualities.
Right.
And no one can take them away from me. It's not like suddenly my husband decides he likes me, so I have peace. That's not, it's not,
yes, true.
it's not that way.
Right. It's something more constant and
yes,
more
it's
stable.
deeply embedded within the soul.
Right.
These qualities of love and peace and purity, they're embedded within the soul. No one can give it to us. No one can take them away from us.
Yes. And sister, also, I was just thinking, since we are talking about the soul, it's energy on a journey. So do you think it's also, breakups that happen, there's also something more to it than what we see in the present life? Can that also help us in dealing with?
For some people, if you really think about it, a lot of people are fresh, no? A lot of the souls are very fresh.
Yes.
Like you could say their energy is very fresh, and they deal with a breakup like this.
Yeah.
There's
no problem.
They're no problem.
Yeah. And then there are others who go through depression
and almost commit suicide and all of those things.
Yeah.
If that is the case, where it's really affecting you deeply, then there was a wound already. And this breakup just took the surface of the previous wound.
Yes.
And so you have to address the deeper wound that was continuing already.
Yes.
And then the breakup just decided to open it out.
Right.
Like there was a scab and the breakup opened up the scab.
Just, the thing just, it's like a wound which is open again. True. So, sister, which means I come to the conclusion that in some or the other lifetime, you have, whether it's this moment right now, you have to heal it. You don't have any other option.
Yes. It's good not to commit suicide.
No matter how difficult a breakup is.
Right.
Because if you don't, and you may just carry this forward and you may not know why, because a breakup can be quite serious for a lot of people.
If you think about it physically, right? If I have a wound on my knee, and it's not healing, and it has a lot of pus, and it's really hurting, I'm not just going to ignore it. I'm not going to put a Band-Aid on it and say, oh, it's okay.
Or just,
I'm going to do something about it.
Right.
I'm going to go
have a pizza and say, oh, okay, I'm fine.
Yes. I'm going to do something about it.
Yes.
And it's the same with these things. And actually, maybe it's a blessing the breakup happened.
Yes.
Because it shows that the wound is there, and that you have to do something about it. And there is no Band-Aid fix. You have to go deeper. You have to realize who you are. There has to be an element of self-awareness. There has to be meditation on self-awareness. And then the wound will start healing.
True. Okay, yes. But sister, sometimes, in a breakup, what if you were the one who messed up something? You did something wrong. And all of a sudden you realize, but the other person doesn't want to be with you anymore. So, that feeling of guilt, that repentance, sometimes that can be like, that can really overpower, your even, whatever you think about yourself.
Right.
Your self-image can really go down. Okay, now that that's happened, what do I do now?
I mean, we should seek forgiveness from the other person, and they might not be ready to. But at least I have to affirm to myself that I'm not going to make this mistake again.
Right.
And I have to be very open. I have to be very honest with myself.
True.
And in that honesty, in that openness, forgive yourself and just also be very determined this mistake will not happen again. Because the consequences for some mistakes are severe, and that could be one of the consequences, is that the breakup is happening.
Yes. And there's something really nice that I'd read once, sister, that, if you had a cavity and you went to the dentist and the dentist removed the tooth, but for the next few days, you would be missing, the tooth, and your tongue would eventually go, and you would miss that there would be a vacuum there. But does that mean you shouldn't have removed it? You should have, because it was hurting. So this is a thing where, we just spoke about a situation where I made a mistake, but there could have been a situation where I was taking too much pain.
Right.
And so the breakup...
some breakups are important. They're essential, like a bad tooth. you know.
Yes.
You just have to get rid of it. There is
Exactly.
some...
Because that was really causing you a lot of pain.
Right. I feel that the decision to break up is already should have happened for the healing to begin, not yo-yo, or one day I want to be, one day I don't want to be, one day I want to, you know.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that. I feel the indecision, the yo-yoing, that's what hurts the most.
Yes, because it just confuses the other person as well.
Exactly.
Because I believe, you know, the energy that you keep sending to the other person can be quite...
and also imagine what it's going to do to you.
Yes.
You're not being fair to, so this, one day I want to be in the relationship, one day I don't want to be in the relationship, all of that has to stop.
Yeah. And talking about the soul, I was just thinking about the Supreme Soul now, God. And, you know, there are a lot of times that we've seen in the films, especially Hindi movies, you know, when you're going through that kind of intense pain, you feel he is the one to blame. And he is the one who's given me so much pain. So what does God actually, what role does he play in all of this, in our drama, you know?
I mean, I always tell people that God is not a micromanager. You know, he's not micromanaging your life and my life. And like, oh, Shalini did this and this and this, so let me give her.
Exactly.
You know, just like, why would he do that? Could you imagine the 7.5 billion people if he has to micromanage?
That's true. And we all know that we work on free will.
Right.
And then
we make our own choices.
Yes.
It's anything that has happened is because of my own choice. It's not because of anyone else. But we have to first stop blaming God, because what happens is that we have to take strength from God.
Yes. Sister Shireen, since it's the soul and, you know, my connection with the Supreme Soul, and that link is what can actually help me to heal. Could we go through a short meditation with you?
Sure. Let's take a relax. And I always start my meditation with taking deep breaths. It just is easier for the body to relax. So take a deep breath and release that breath. And while releasing that breath, relax your shoulders. Take another deep breath and release that breath and relax your stomach area. Take another deep breath and release that breath and relax your jaw and your throat area. Now your body is totally relaxed. In this state of relaxation, ask yourself the question, who am I? And answer it with self-awareness, with seeing yourself just beyond the physical labels of the body. Remind yourself, I am a soul, I am peace, I am love. Love and peace are intrinsic to I, the soul. No one can give them to me, and no one can take them away from me. They are an inherent part of I, the soul. And then ask yourself the question, how can I connect with the Supreme Soul? How can I take power and love from the Supreme Soul? And with gently but firmly, remember that just as I am a soul, the Supreme Soul is also a soul. That the Supreme Soul is the ocean of love and peace. And by becoming aware of myself as a spirit, I connect with the Supreme Spirit. In this connection, the Supreme Soul's love and peace are flowing toward me. I feel so comforted by this love and peace. I just have to ask myself these two questions in any situation and every situation. Who am I, and how can I source from the Supreme Soul? I feel so relaxed, so calm, because I'm aware of myself as a soul, and I'm connected to the ocean. And very gently, with these powerful thoughts, I come back to this room, to this moment. Om Shanti, I am peace.
Shanti. That was really nice, sister. So I was just wondering that, regular practice of meditation, of connecting with the Supreme, can really help me heal, even very deep wounds, which even I may not know that, I'm still carrying them.
Right. Yeah. I feel meditation is not like the Band-Aid. It's not a Band-Aid fix.
Right.
It is something where it addresses the deeper root of what happened. Because if you think about it, in a relationship, we are always taking something from the other person.
Right.
Either security or love or whatever. There's something I'm getting. And so
happiness.
Happiness.
Yeah.
So when that breaks, then I feel insecure. I feel rejected.
Lost.
Because that
link is broken.
Yeah. But instead of it being a horizontal take, that if we take from the Supreme,
yes,
then the Supreme never has a half moon. He's never about to break up with me. I feel comfort.
Yes.
So I feel that the best thing that we can do in any breakup or any situation is we start establishing a relationship with the Supreme. That's the most important thing we can do now, is who am I, and connect with the Supreme.
Right, because we are seeing that, relationships have certainly become very uncertain. I mean, it's so
you never know when they're going to decide they don't want you in their life.
Exactly. And so you just can't be hanging around there, just waiting for them to either come back or, waiting for them to decide whether they want to be with you or not. This is like a more stable relationship that you can have.
Right.
So, Sister Shireen, of course, there are a lot of other things that we can cover under breakups, because we do see that a lot of people get into addictions as well.
I feel it's a totally different topic, getting into addictions, but it could trigger.
Right.
I feel if you have an addictive personality, anything can trigger you getting into an addiction, and it's so easy to get into an addiction.
Yes.
Before you know it, you're in it.
Exactly.
And you're in denial most of the time, and then suddenly you're in it.
And, sister, could it also be a behavioral pattern that you have in you? Because it's seen that, sometimes even as a child, if you've constantly had this feeling of being rejected, even though, your parents might have been very loving, your friends might have, but it's just that thing in you.
They need not have been loving, no?
Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Each of us has a different story we come to in a relationship. Whatever the situation is, parents are loving,
not
loving, whatever it is,
you need to have a stronger foundation.
We need to have a very strong foundation. We need to have a strong sense of self-respect.
Right.
A very strong sense of self. And when we have that, every relationship we engage with will be good.
True. And what I feel, sister, is rather than becoming very bitter about things, you just let go of, what's not important, and you become a better person.
Right.
Yeah.
This whole bitterness thing now, it's so bad. I feel like, okay, then there are two things you're hurting yourself with.
So, I guess that's it for today, sister. And it was really, lovely knowing about myself can be so important, and my relationship, my link with the Supreme Soul. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Shalini. It was lovely here.
Thank you. Me too. So that was an amazing episode. I feel with the spirit of change, when you're going through a breakup and you feel that you're just stuck up in that dark corner, you know that, it could be a change for something better. It could be a gift. Like, Sister said, why not? It could be a blessing. So let us look at things from a very positive perspective. And with that, we'll end today's episode. And stay with us for the upcoming topics under Spirit of Change. Thank you. Om Shanti.